How's it going, guys, and welcome back to Siege Basics, where we just go over everything from really basic stuff and we try to work our way up just to become, a plat level player, gold, plat, just to get out of those core ranks. So people that watch this, if you take this and you implement it into your game, you should easily boost up. Of course, it's not going to be easy, but if you have the right resources, which hopefully this whole playlist gives you a whole sum of resources that you can use to get better. So today we are going to be going over attacking and how to attack. So it's really one of the basic things in the game. Of course, there's attacking and defending. So we just have to kind of go over from basics of attacking and work our way up into roles, into the right compositions of operators that you should have, etc. So let's get into this. This should be pretty beneficial for everyone, all the way from new players all the way to people that just want to refresh their mind, see if anything has changed in the meta. So let's get into this. So I would say the main disconnect here between Siege, what you actually should be doing, the reality of it, versus the player base, especially as you get lower and lower, is the objective. People don't pay attention to the objective and treat it like a death match, really. Whoever kills the rest of the team or whoever kills the other team wins the round, but that's just not the case. If you spend any time watching Pro League or higher ranked players, it's usually strategizes around how you can get the diffuser down, the bomb, whatever you want to call it, down, and how you can win the round with strategies around that diffuser. It's not how can we kill all 5 of the players. So I break attacking down into 3 steps. There's the pre-round phase, there's the prep phase, and then there's the action phase. So the 3 P's there. But before we could dive into those 3 P's, you first have to go back all the way back on what is the goal of attacking in Siege. So firstly, it always starts with map control. If you own the map, if you own what you need to own for that specific site, every site is different on every map, but if you own the parts of the map that you need in order to take over the site, then everything gets easier. At that point, it becomes this game of who can get the site, and then it's just a picking game, who gets the most kills, and then finally, you just got to be able to get the diffuser down, and then it's a round win. So that probably sounded too simple, right? Because everyone thinks that attacking is very, very hard in this game, but in reality, people just overthink it. Not every site you need to roam clear. Not every map you're gonna need to go from top floor to bottom floor. It just depends on the map. So we're gonna go over that, and we are gonna get into the 3 steps of attacking. So my first step, a lot of people consider it not really a step, but it is the pre-round step. This is when you're selecting your operator and kind of predicting where the site is going to go. Every map has a rotation of sites that they usually go in. So Clubhouse is going to be my example for this entire video. And that map goes in a simple setup of cash room CCTV, then it goes down to the basement of army room and church. Then assuming the defense wins both of those rounds, it usually ends up in bar and stock room, which is the main level. I'm not saying it's always going to go in this order. Sometimes it'll start in the basement, then go up, but for the most part, you got to just rely on your normal rotations for your select rank. So for my rank, I would say cash and CCTV is 90% of the time the first selection. Now the only reason I included that is because that should determine your operator composition, your team composition, and who you should pick based on that team composition. So the general composition on any team includes 1 to 2 hard breachers, and that would include Thermite, Hibana, Ace, and sometimes Maverick. It will include 1 hard breach support, so players that are meant to kind of destroy bandits, mutes, etc. And those operators consist of Thatcher, Kali, Twitch, and Maverick. Now I'm going to combine this next category into 1. It's soft breachers and entry fraggers. Usually the soft breachers kind of double take in entry fragging. So the operators included in that would be Buck, Sledge, Zofia, and Ash, Jackal. And you could even throw an IQ there for the entry fragging side of things. So that's kind of the core 5, but there of course is many other roles and different types of things there. There's like disruptors on teams, which would be guys with shields, or like Fuse or Dokkaebi, Lion, just guys that create kind of rare situations for the defenders, create more annoying situations. So just by keeping that in mind, we go back to the prep phase and we say, okay, it is going cash and CCTV most likely. So we pick our hard breacher accordingly. So we aren't going to want to pick a Hibana because that doesn't do as good of a job on bigger walls. So we're going to want to pick a Thermite or an ace. Next up, we're going to want a hard breach support. So we're going to want a Maverick, a Thatcher. Those are probably the top two. And then we're going to want to fill in the other roles, just fragging and soft breaching. So good ones for that objective in specific would be like a Buck or a Zofia, to be able to go underneath the floor and create some disruption that way. Other than that, it's just kind of free reign. But as long as you have those core operators, the Thermite, the Thatcher, the Maverick, stuff like that, and then the entry fraggers, everything else will just fall into place. So there's just one more thing in the prep phase, and that is selecting your spawn. Obviously, you can switch your spawn if the site kind of changes and it's not what you expected it to be, but if it's cache and CCTV, you're going to want to spawn on the east side or the north side. And this especially goes for support players and hard breachers, because you don't want your Thermite spawning on the opposite side of the map, because then you can't get the wall open, or you have to wait for him to walk across the entire map, which by itself takes 30 to 45 seconds. So finally, we go into the second step, and this is the droning step. This is my second step of attacking, the 3 tiers. So the droning step is pretty straightforward. You're just trying to find the site, and that doesn't mean just kamikaze your drone in. You just kind of want to peek in, make sure the site is where you think it is, and beyond that, you don't need to go ping everyone. You don't need to know every single person. While that is useful, your drone is more useful. So try to keep that thing alive and try to preset that wherever you want, or just drive it back to your spawn and pick it up when you spawn, and then you have 2 drones to start the round. So finally, the round has begun, and now it's just getting harder, because right when you spawn, you can't just run out like a headless chicken. You gotta run out and check every single window, check for breaks, check for anyone to be spawn peeking, check for runouts, check for anything that you possibly can, because the last thing you want is your whole execution to go bad whenever your Thermite gets picked off on the spawn kill, and now you have no hard breacher. So now you just go for your push. Now the basic push for this site that we are using as the example for this entire thing is you have some people come through the master side, the gym side, they work their way into construction, and then there's a congestion there, and then the other side needs to get that CCTV wall opened, and that is where the plant really occurs. So as you see there, that only requires you to clear the top floor up to the site. You don't need to go clear basement, you don't need to go clear bar. There's only one way up those stairs, and it's the main stairs and then the red stairs. The red stairs don't really matter so much, because usually you would have a player playing somewhat downstairs trying to get bandits from maybe below at a Zofia position or a Buck position. But even if you don't, there's no real harm, no foul, because someone's always on the red stairs anyways. The only person you need to worry about is those main stairs up from bar into the master bedroom. This can simply be fixed with either someone physically watching it or just setting some claymores there and using sound cues to determine if someone's trying to flank the 2 players going towards the construction side push. So this goes for every single site. It doesn't have to just be this site, but you have to know what you need to map clear. You don't need to map clear in this specific situation the bottom 2 floors. That's because it's not detrimental to your success. Now, if you were going for a basement push, on the other hand, it would be very important to clear out that main floor, because there's just so many entrances from the garage to the blue stairs to the main stairs. There's just so many different pushing points on that same site. While upstairs, it's a complete different scenario where you only need to really apply pressure to site, and then the roamers will come flooding back upstairs because they have no other choice. So now it's time to execute. It's time to execute that attack. So it starts with the entry fragger. The entry fragger should get droned in by a support player. Sometimes there will be 2 entry fraggers, and that would mean that there would be an Ash and say like a Lion. There would be some like 2 similar French fragging operators, and they would work cohesively together, drone each other, and use a support player's drone, of course. And on most sites, not like the upstairs side of Clubhouse, but on most sites, these players are going to be trying to roam clear. They're going to be running through the map trying to get any roamers. And in general, you want to get all the roamers out by about a minute and a half, a minute range. You want at least a minute to make your final push into site. And that usually includes bringing all the support players in and bringing the diffuser into site. So you can make your move towards putting down that diffuser and trying to make a move to execute on the site. At this point in rank, the round is usually already over, or it's just like a 3v1 or something because something goes terribly wrong. But if your team executes how they should, at this point, your team probably should have at least killed 1 or 2 roamers, and now you are trying to converge on the sites with about a minute left in a perfect world. Now, of course, in ranked, it's really hard to get your whole team together to do this, so it's more of a fragging type game. However, it doesn't mean you can't do this. If you have a team that wants to work together, then and you can easily do a strategy, a real attacking strategy. That includes a great droning prep phase where you pick the right operators, like we said. That's the first phase. Then we have a great droning session where it doesn't include everyone kamikazing their drones straight into sight and getting them killed. And then the third, of course, is a great execution where you have defined roles on a team based on the operator you select. If you pick Thermite, then you should be going for the main wall. If you pick a Ash, you should be going for the entry fragging. So you might be saying, okay, great, I know all the steps, but I just can't execute on the final attacking part. And yeah, that's probably true for a lot of people here, because attacking, there's so much to it once the round actually starts. It's nice to think things out at the beginning of the round, but if just one thing goes wrong, everything just changes and it becomes this trying to go for the kills again. So all I could do really is point out some things that could help you. To start things off, I think you got to go with the first thing and everything in Siege is you got to have that communication set with your team to know which site you're going to push, just kind of get the great idea of how you're going to push that site. Communication is everything, especially on attack. Defense is important, but less important because attacking is a little bit more complex in my opinion. Second thing I would have to say is push cohesively as a team. That means you have to have your Thermite and Thatcher and your main core players on the same page. So for example, you're going for a bank upstairs push onto admins. You're trying to get that main wall in the top square area, and your Thermite spawns on the complete opposite side of the map. Well, you're already pretty much screwed for that round. Your teammate's gonna have to go rappel on the roof, run across the whole building, jump down. There you go, there's 45 seconds and a lot of time wasted just because one person wasn't on the same page as the other. And it just so happens the one person that wasn't is probably one of the most important players on the team, which is the hard breacher. Now last but not least, but I think the best tip I could possibly give you is to drone at any possible moment you can drone at. If you are going to go into a building or a room, you should be droning it out before. Anytime possible, you need to drone that room out. That's going to save you countless amounts of deaths. And it's also just going to give you really good habits. Most of your round, or at least 50% of your round, should be consisting of on a drone. Now, of course, that changes. If you're an entry fragger, you'll be on your drone a little bit less, but doesn't change the fact that you should be using your drone as your main gadget every single round. And lastly, I gotta say, if you are unsure of the site rotations or anything of that nature, pick one of the core operators, and that includes the hard breachers that we talked about at the beginning, which are the Thermite, Ace, Savannah. You can pick a support, a Thatcher is always good, or you could pick a soft breach type fragging operator, a Buck and a Sledge are always useful. And then of course, you could pick a entry fragger, which includes Zofia and Ash. Those are the two core ones, but plenty of others will do. But if you just pick operators in that general area, you'll never go wrong and you won't ever have a mistake. You won't ever show up to a fight with a completely useless gadget to your whole team, a completely useless operator. So hopefully this kind of gave you a brief understanding of how attacking rounds should play out and what phases they should go in. Now I understand not everyone, or I'm guessing most players, even have a 2 or 3 stack, so obviously it gets harder as you are solo queuing and such, but it's still possible to at least do your part and be the team player, be the bigger guy and pick the Thermite whenever there's no hard breach. At the same time though, always have fun with it. If you hate playing Thermite, then I'm not going to say you should just play Thermite just because you want to be the better guy. So regardless, if you're a 5 stack or just a solo queue, hopefully you can implement some of these things, take some of these roles into consideration, and take these steps. No matter what you're doing, you should be able to take the steps and push them straight into your game, hopefully improving your rank, hopefully improving your attacking. Attacking is one of the difficult things you could do on Siege. Finally, if this was beneficial to you guys in any way, please consider hitting that red subscribe button. Really appreciate it. I'll be having tip videos once a week and I'll have coaching videos throughout, so it's just this whole channel is revolved around making people better at the game. So if you are interested in that, please do subscribe and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.